Do you have a favorite story, moment, or mechanic from internal playtests that, for good reason, never made it to live? Looking for a super fun to play once kind of scenario? I'm trying to think right now of something Captain Gameplay did. Okay, I've got it. It's Ambush. So Captain Gameplay, he made this... It was like a rune or a potion or a summoner spell, and it was called Ambush. And it put a bush down, and then made you really strong if you were in the bush. A little bit like Ivern, I think. So like you could just be fighting top lane and you'd be like, I'm gonna ambush this guy, and you'd put a bush down. And then of course that's hilarious with Rengar, because Rengar could drop his own bush and be like, ambush. And so you just get ambushed by Rengar in melee range. He'd be like, oh, ambush. Stab, stab, stab. That was a fun moment, I would say. Let's see. Oh my god, what was it? Gold bags on towers. So this was like over a decade ago. We tested this thing where it was like, we need to like make it rewarding to push towers without killing them. This was before plates existed. And so I think one of the things we did was towers would have these bags of gold that would just be sitting around them. And you could like walk up and take them. And it ended up being really ridiculous because like whatever top laner got ahead would actually just ignore the other top laner, not even try to dive them, and would just like kind of like sit under their tower grabbing bags of gold. And the other top laner, because they couldn't force them away, would be like, dude, stop taking my gold bags, man. Like, what the heck? And it just became this game of like, try to jump under your opponent's tower, grab their bags of gold, and leave. That one was fun. That was like a long time ago. I think that was being tested for like season 3 or something. Yeah. La Fantona, thanks for the Prime sub. That's how plates work right now. No, plates are different. Plates require you killing the tower, attacking the tower. Gold bags are just sitting there under the tower. Like, you just had to walk up and grab them. You didn't have to, like, attack them or do anything. You could just grab the gold bags. And so, like, without it doing anything, the enemy top laner could get massively far ahead just by pushing to your tower, because they could just run into your tower, grab the gold bags, and leave. Yeah. Thoughts on EKKO's state? I think my thoughts on EKKO's state can be summed up by the game I played against EKKO yesterday. I had a game against EKKO yesterday where I fed an EKKO first blood, and then second blood, and then third blood, and then fifth blood, and then 10th blood. I don't know how many bloods I fed him, but it was a lot of bloods. And he rushed a Magi Soul Stealer, and he got it stacked, and he was basically like destroying everybody. And I was on Briar. And then I bought a couple health items, and he couldn't one-shot me anymore, and I would just straight up kill him repeatedly. And he couldn't carry, and he died a bunch, and then lost. And the summary I would have is, I think it can be tough for assassins to really be able to, like... The margins for an assassin to pop off are a lot harder nowadays. And by the way, like, it's intended that, like, the way you counter an assassin is to build health, build armor, build magic resist, whatever they are, right? Like, that's all intended, right? But I have found playing League recently that the margins for an assassin to actually be able to pop off and take over the game, it's like, it's harder for them to snowball, and if the enemy team catches up, it feels like they can't do much. Which is like, and so this is, and so EKKO, I wonder if like other assassins, he struggles to both snowball the game and maintain leads while snowballing. My experience in solo queue recently versus assassins, this is very anecdotal, but I've had a number of games where like assassins like EKKO or Rengar or LeBlanc or whatnot will get ahead. And you know, they'll legitimately be frustrating, they'll like kill us a bunch. But then like, I'll often just tell my team, like, hey guys, they're assassins. If we group, they're not going to do anything anymore. And then we group up and like, you know, very often we'll be able to come back. is the feeling I often get when I'm running into a strong assassin right now. Again, anecdotal experience though. But, and again, grouping is the intended counterplay for assassins, right? When you're playing against an assassin, what you're supposed to do is group. If you leave yourself alone, like, you're probably gonna get killed. And so I would say I wonder if characters like EKKO are a little on the weak side as a class in terms of either their ability to snowball or their ability to maintain leads. One of those two things. Do you think the AD meta was caused by assassins being bad? I think there was a contributing factor. So historically, one of the things you could do if an AD carry came mid is just kill them. And that really matters, especially in sustained metas, because if you can just kill an AD carry from full, it matters a lot less if they took sustain, as an example. And so I think one of the contributing factors of AD carries showing up in mid was that it became a lot safer for them to be there, with the combination of base health, assassins not being able to one-shot them as reliably, and junglers having a harder time ganking them because, you know, the lane changes made mid a lot safer. And so it's kind of an idea where it's like, let's say the enemy team takes 3 AD carries, which was actually happening during the AD carry mid meta. You could legitimately see three AD carries on the team. Probably the enemy team, if they see that, like, they should like be able to walk into assassins and like kind of like just be drooling for what that game is going to be for them, because like, ooh, look at all these easy kills, squishy targets, things like that. But it feels like, even if like, it felt like during that meta that even if they had a lot of AD carries, it wasn't necessarily then effective to take a class that's supposed to prey on them and be able to bop them. That was mostly pro play though. Not just 3, we've seen 4 to 5. Yeah. And so like historically speaking, if an enemy team picked 5 AD carries, what would happen is you'd pick assassins and like they would just all die on repeat, and they'd never really get to the point where they would be strong. You pick a couple assassins and a couple tanks or whatever, they die on repeat, they never get to the point where they'd be strong. Nowadays, it's a lot easier for AD carries to survive the early game and be stronger early game, which, you know, has some good results, because it's like, hey, AD carries want to have like influence and impact on the game. But when they're more survivable, it means that having a lot of them might not be as like rough for the team as it was historically. Yeah. Anyways, that was the AD carry meta. I don't really know if it's an AD carry meta right now though, but that was probably a contributing factor to the AD carries being good before. Can I ask about LP? I don't really have many things to tell you about LP. The only thing I can really tell you about LP is LP as a system is tracked to the league you're in. League being like gold, silver, gold 1, gold 2, etc., like that. And so if your hidden MMR is lower than your division, the system won't think you necessarily belong in that division yet, and so you'll get less LP, from my understanding of how the system works. And so you're one of the possible cases of negative LP. I don't know if it's the only one, but one of the possible cases of negative LP is you're not actually yet at the MMR of your division, such that you need to win more to get there, for your LP gains to essentially catch up. Anyways, though, I don't know the intricacies of it. I think like Flox or Fruxin are better people to ask about that. French is to fries. Thanks for the 1 month. You don't know how it works? I know the basics of how it works, but I am not a subject matter expert, so I do not want to, like, you know, put words into other people's mouths. Right? So best for me not to like super get into it.